welcome back. And to actually enter into the path of liberation, all we just need is this simple process, so-called Anapanasati. This is the basic. Unconsciously, we keep doing this when we are stagnant. For every 1 hour or 2 hours, we just do the deep breaths. And we just forcibly exhale, releasing out all the stagnant parts within our breath. So when our breath is not clear, obviously the process functioning within, the spiritual growth will also not be same like how it actually should be. So here my topic, why did I actually choose this topic called Path of Liberation? In Telugu it's Mukti Margam, and I would actually like to share my way of understanding to it. So for me, if it's Path of Liberation, I just first hear the name, or one name comes into my mind is Gautam Buddha. It's a very interesting story, and out of all, that story teaches a lot of things and a lot of lessons. But let's not get into the story, but to the main points in it. So the first thing that I would like to share is, here most of us know about Gautam Buddha, right? So Gautam Buddha, being a great king, what does he do? Why he really had a necessity, or why he really should have been gone to the forest and left all his kingdom, leaving everything behind. And why did he really actually have to do that? It's just because the thirst within. Why did the thirst come out? What made it? Due to irregular behavioral patterns which led us and which ended up in a lot of sufferings, right? So those lot of sufferings takes you into confusion, and where you'll find no way. So when this happens every now and then that is what it is. And that is what it is called suffering. And that is what we feel it very painful. And we have no clarity furthermore. So in here, the path of liberation, it's so simple. There is a very famous teaching by Gautam Buddha that is called Eightfold Path, right? So Eightfold Path is so good. So Eightfold Path is all about, I think we have heard about it, right speech, right intention, right view, right thought, right concentration, right meditation. So like this, everything right. So right doesn't mean the opposite of wrong. So right something defines as noble here. So let's just try to understand what he's trying to convey with the Eightfold Path. So he just says that Eightfold Path is a self-disciplinary thing. So every person has to follow these 8 things to maintain their self-discipline. Whatever it is, most of us have this problem. Either we have good thoughts, but we have a problem in portraying it out, in acting it out. Sometimes we might not have good thoughts. We are not yet ready to generate good thoughts, but still we are used to the actions, the regular and general actions. So in here, it's all about in the path of liberation, in the Eightfold Path. It's so good that he keeps on explaining, right? How everything can be right, how your thought, how your mind, and how your speech and how your view should actually be. So in this process, after knowing about all the self-disciplinary things, and the second comes is paramitas, the perfection. So here he says, it's not just enough if you just, make yourself right. It is even important for us also to act right. So that is an example of Gautam Buddha and our Guru Brahma Shri Pitama Patriji Garu. So all the great grandmasters, everyone who is trying to share their wisdom, it's just nothing but they are in this path of liberation. So liberation doesn't mean something very big. Liberation is just setting free. You're freeing yourself from a lot of limitations related to this physical reality. You don't belong to there, and you should realize. And to realize, you need to maintain a discipline for yourself. And if you get used to it, and then there comes the perfection, the paramatas. There are 6 paramatas. The first one is Dhana Paramita. The second one is Sila Paramita. Third one is Kshanti Paramita. And fifth one is Dhyana Paramita. And sixth one is Prajna Paramita. So let us try to know what all these 6 things say. So here the first thing is Dhana Paramita. He says so good that say Dhana Paramita is this beautiful. In in ages, some people do, some people offer food, some people offer clothes, some people offer money, but everything is limited to this physical reality. Whatever you are offering to the other person in this world, everything is just limited to this reality. You can't carry it after you die, right? You can't carry it to your next life. See, for an example, if I just gift you a shirt now, that's a cloth. Will you be able to take it to your next life? Will that be possible? No, that doesn't work. So just the same way, all you got to do is understand the Dhana Paramita. Dhana Paramita is something that all you got to do is share your knowledge, share your experiences. This is what even our Guru keeps telling us, that, wherever you are, even if you're traveling in auto, just try listening to their experiences. The same way Gautam Buddha also does this to Kisa Gautami, the mustard seeds woman, the very famous woman. So there is a woman called Kisa Gautami. She's very well known as a mustard seed woman. And she had a baby and who dies just after a month. After the birth, and in a month the baby dies, and the mother whose name is Kisa Gautami, and she gets so upset that she wasn't okay with the reality. Then she gets a lot of frustrated and then goes to Gautam Buddha. Everyone suggests her that there is a big sadhu here, saint here, called Shakyamuni, who can actually help you in this. Then with all her hope and pain and grief, everything she had, and she didn't know what to do, she just she just runs to Gautam Buddha and asks him that I have heard many things about you, that you can do miracles, so can you please help me in getting my child back? Can you give birth? Can you just give life to him? Then Gautam Buddha says that he just gives her a rule, or sort of a challenge, that she has to go to every door in that village and find the mustard seeds in which house there is no death. So she goes to every door, and she gets exhausted. But end of the day, she comes back to Shakyamuni and says, I now accept the reality. Now I'll let go this. I'm no more behind the baby soul. So after everything, when she understood that suffering is everywhere, how did she understand? Just by listening to the experiences, right? So here it's very simple, that Dana Paramita is perfection of offering. So the most easiest thing on this planet, in this world, is just Share your knowledge, share your wisdom as much as you can. So the second one is Sila Paramita. So Sila Paramita is very simple. So in Sila Paramita, what we do is, here it's all about, in Sila Paramita and Shanti Paramita are no much different. So they just talk about perseverance that a person has. So how far a person the same path, because in this physical reality, relationship with ourselves. So that is what he says. In this world, we have this kind of situations going on with us. So it is not easy for us to let go everything. Let go, that doesn't mean going into forest, leaving everything. It just simply says that, today we have meditated for 1 hour, and when we are meditating and we are not worrying about anything, so that is something letting go. So let go every relationship, but that doesn't mean you should break those relationships. You can't break your family. The best you can do is just let go. So in this, Sila Paramita and Shanti Paramita are no much different. So after perseverance, everything, you land in a little silence, where Shanti Paramita completely talks about a thoughtless state. He says that's the biggest thing that people suffer from. Every person every person coming into your life is just on a purpose. Either you learn or either they learn. So, and then next is Dhyana Paramita. So Dhyana Paramita here has two things in it: right concentration and again right mindfulness in it. So here he says is, first thing, you cannot hurt perseverance, you cannot hurt anyone. You cannot force on anyone. It's just that you should be in a pace that, all you got to do is just sustain, irrespective whichever situation it is, or how bad the intensity it is. That's absolutely fine. Do not worry about any kind of uh, you know uh, reactions or responses, that in everyday life, that is what he says. So it's so simple. All you got to do is just let go. Do not even think about it. No mind is no thought. Here again about right Kshanti Paramita. So Kshanti Paramita is all about the silence, the perfection of silence. The silence is nothing but just you settle down with your emotional body. That's the only thing which actually makes us unstable. So sometimes we switch. So here all it is important is we just let go everything while we are meditating. That's very simple. And then the most beautiful thing in here in Pragna Paramita is all about the dimensions. Here he says whenever the person is excelling in a eightfold path, it says the person started entering into the dimension 6. Then once the person has crossed the eightfold path and entered into paramitas, then paramita, the stage of paramita is called dimension 7. So that's something called the life of bodhisattvas. And after that, after you even excel, first you have excelled for yourself, and second you have excelled coordinating with other people in the society. You have even excelled in that. Then that is what the paramitas. And then you learned, you excelled. And then now with the other people, you're even excelling. So then this is the state completely where the path of liberation lies. It's not just limited for you. You can't just sit alone in the room and consistently keep doing your spiritual work, which doesn't work at all. Because you will have no one to make experiences, to make it valid. How can you cross-check without being without being into experience? Just listening to the knowledge, there is some country called Azerbaijan on the map. We just know that there is a country like that, but we have never been to that country unless and until you go there and you see, and that better you know and you understand. So path of liberation is nothing but maturity, the greater maturity that we gain out of so much sadhana we do. So the next example that I would actually share about is the new energy subject. So that is something told by Crimson in Crimson Circle by Tobias. So it's even the same. Path of liberation is mandatory, and that's the only process that a person ends up with. So every person goes through path of liberation, but every person will have their own way of exploring, and every person will have a own way to progress and function. So just the way in here, Gautam Buddha had one perception, Mahavatar Babaji had one perception, Yogananda Paramahamsa had one perception. So every person is unique. Every person will have their own perception. So path of liberation is also like that. It's mandatory. It's there. But the way you go, but the way you achieve, but the way you walk in has to be validated. Because in this planet called Earth, we are given with only two things, time and space. So time is very important. So we can't just, time doesn't mean in this one life. Now I think that time is 7:13 in the Eastern timings. So that's not the time I'm talking about. The time is you are wasting your lifetimes not being into this path of liberation. So every person needs that at most maturity. See, this is just a human life is just like a game. There is a life given to you. You're born, you're grown, and then you should complete the task at the end, so-called attaining enlightenment is nothing but this. So simply, it's very clear that path of liberation or attaining enlightenment is no different. Everything is same, but every person will have their own way to deal with it. The target is same, the end point is same, the final examination is same. If you don't attain that utmost maturity or the maximum maturity that you actually possess, or the capacity you have in it to possess, if you do not satisfy that requirement, you will again have to take lifetimes and lifetimes. So here the next simple point is in path of liberation. See, every person, I never actually wanted to talk about the end point called enlightenment or the start point called a fresh start. But from a fresh start to an enlightenment end, there is a path, there is a journey people are walking in, people are going through. It's called path of liberation. Why are we in sufferings? It's not just because of your fate. It's just because either you learn, either the other person learn. For some or the other thing. So that is why we are all, no matter, we don't have to be in the same family to help each other. So it's just that you can even be, we all come into the same family, right? Don't we? So we all come into the same family, a human family, a mankind. So our utmost capability is we can be a god. God, the precise definition of God I can say is limitless. When you're limitless, then you will be a god. You cannot restrict yourself. Restrict in your mind, it means restricting to your actions, your identity, and the way you think about yourself. Everything matters. However you function, and that way it will really function. But we never realize that. So in here, in this path of liberation, I have choose this because I really had a very beautiful journey throughout. So I can just say I'm at maturity levels, little maximum, because I make sure every day for my spiritual growth. So why do we actually need the spiritual growth? Why this path of liberation? Why birth? Why death? Why enlightenment? And why path of liberation? Why do we need this? And the end target is just that, maturity, enlightenment. And the first one is new stage, birth stage. Birth is easy, the end point is easy. But the path, most of the time, the path of liberation makes us sidetracked, isn't it? We get exhausted. We get exhausted, not satisfying ourselves with something that we want to achieve. And that gives you a lot of aggression, a lot of disturbances in your mind. And it slowly spreads into your lifestyle. So that is why it's just that maintain the path so clear. If you have a very good clarity, you should make it, you should keep it clear for yourself. That you should know, why am I in this path? All the time you should have, like, in Gautam Buddha says that always I am not alone. Always I have my questions with me. So always have questions with you. That why? So when we know that path of liberation is the only way that we can attain maturity or enlightenment. So it's just that when you are in this process called path of liberation, first all we need is self-discipline. In whichever way or in whichever form of meditation you take, in everything it's very same and simple. Everyone first teaches you the self-discipline. Then once you excel in it, then you will be capable of dealing with other people. So here the only advantage is when you are with this, when you are in this path of liberation, consistently sustaining, then it's very easy for you. If you're not sustaining, if you're just easily easily you get exhausted, and then you feel like, oh no, I can't keep on taking these sufferings over and over, one after the other. I don't deserve this. But you should feel that you are the only luckiest person on this planet, because you're not wasting your lifetimes. In one lifetime, you are learning so much with every situation, with every suffering. How beautiful it is. So here, it's very simple. The path of liberation doesn't mean something else. It's just that after self-disciplinary thingy, and the next thing comes is, how do we actually act with the other people? You functioning and now you functioning to the other people. It just says that you have realized what you are. The same way, after that, you start realizing who is the other person also. Every person is like me. We are not just the bodies, we are beyond minds. So we are also limitless. To understand this fact, it's always important for us. Why we really have to be on this path? Why we really have to, um, be in this journey? Most of the time, Gautam Buddha says, see, if someone, there is a very great story on Gautam Buddha, that he actually goes for his food thingy into a village town, then on a street, then people start insulting him, that why are you doing this, you're very fit enough, then why can't you just work and get food for yourself? Then he doesn't talk a single word in return. He will be like, very fine. So initial stages, it is not easy for all of us to be with it. Then that is why we feel so sad. Really, a person insulted me. A person gave me this. A person, was dealing with me in this way. We are not fine with that because we are not used to it. But it is all about that. If you deal, see, in the video games or in the games, that if you actually pass the hardest task, and that is when you score the highest points. The same way, how hardest sufferings you go through, you learn from it, and that better and that much you learn out of it. So basically, I actually wanted to say it in a very short thingy, that path of liberation is all about sustaining. So if you don't sustain with the right frame of mind or right thought, it should just be your lifestyle. Once you start following your self-disciplinary thingy, and it should be your lifestyle, it's your lifestyle. It will become your lifestyle if you keep on practicing. So after that, it will be very easy for you to forgive anyone, to surrender to anyone, because you understand, you have a source in you, and I have a source in me, and we are all connected to the supreme source. So there is no difference between us. We are same. We have we have only the greatest thing in common is our breath. Everyone breathes. That is how we are alive. So it's just that like the way you design your life, the way you just create your reality, and that is how you start picking up. That is how you start picking up the challenges. That is how you start picking up the situations for you. Just the way, in the grad school, if you go to grad school, in one semester, if you have completed all the core courses, and the second semester you'll have chance to choose whichever elective courses you want to. So in that way, here also you can just direct in whichever way you want. Now you are in here, in the experience, on this ground, then you know it much more better than from there when you have planned or when you have designed. Now you are in this body directly, so now you have a very clear and better idea. You should have it. When you have it, and that is when you become limitless, and that is when you know how to change things for yourself. So path of liberation is simply just that, sustaining. If you don't sustain, and it doesn't work. It's so simple. All you got to learn is a lot of patience. There is a word for it called stoic. A person has to be stoic if they are in this path of liberation. Stoic is There are many books on this called Stoicism. So Stoic is a Stoic person. Gautam Buddha is a Stoic person, for example. You just go to him, you insult him. It doesn't matter for him because he just says that I haven't insulted you. You have insulted me, right? When you have insulted me, that's something which came out from you. When I receive it, and that is when I hold it in here. So I am not judgmental and I am not low enough to receive that. So a person who can just let go with enough maturity is something called stoic. I just thought of telling the example of Gautam Buddha and coming to the next example called Yashodhara, and my favorite character. And I would like to say Yashodhara and Mahaprajapati together. They are not no different. So the stepmother of Gautam Buddha and the wife of Gautam Buddha. So this is the second example that I actually wanted to talk about. So the path of liberation that they have chosen is something that we really have to do it in this time, in this life, in this generation, the Aquarians generation. So it's so simple that all you got to do is live in this reality. Go on with your relationships whenever you find time. Go find a circle of compassion like this, a divine circle of compassion, so that you can just sit, close your eyes, share your experiences, whatever you have. And in here, we actually share our experiences or sufferings that what we have every day. And we some or the other way find solutions for it. So just the way how they did the circle of compassion like that, we are doing it now. It was in that generation and in this lifetime or in this generation, and this is what we got to follow. The same way even Tobias also talks about. If you understand the start and end, that is not enough. You even have to understand the journey in between. That is all it matters. And if you are walking in this journey and you are succeeding it. So coming to my story, when I have started it, and this is a very real and live example. So when I started it and I was a very little kid, and I don't know, I used to just sit, close my eyes, and that's it. And I never knew what best I could do, because I started it in my third class because of my parents. So I just knew that I need to sit, close my eyes. And after some days, I was a little scared because my mom was very strict, and she was not letting me, skip the meditation hour. So when that happened after so long, in my 12th grade, that is when I really understood the essence of it. How I can just start rejuvenating myself. I started seeing little changes in me, that I feel so fresh because of no thought state. And slowly I've started doing it. But once when I had a very big issue after my BTech, after my engineering, and I was like, I had complete failures, one after the other. And I was like, oh God, I'm exhausted. I'm done with this. Like I am done fighting. Then that is when I actually met a sir, and that is when I actually realized, no, journey has now actually started. From then till now, everywhere, whatever I see, yes, I go through, but I just get disheartened too sometimes. But I even find the beauty I can see in myself is, for every awkward or suffering situation or uncertain situation, I find a positive reason. I find a positive purpose that why this situation is with me. At the moment, for a couple of minutes, I'll be, a situation dominant, emotionally dominant. But later on, I just, understand. I just get into the level of maturity. If I don't, I forcibly make myself sit, because I am completely confused. So I need a solution. I need a purpose in this. Then after that, I can see a very clear picture. And after that, trust me, I will have no hatred. I will have no aggression. And these days I'm so surprised that I am not at all being angry. And a human mind is just trained like that. We don't know, or none of us taught us that, in these situations you should be angry, in these situations you need to cry, in this situation you need to laugh. It's just the natural generation of our emotions happening within. So when this is happening, I was like, if a situation actually came that I really used to cry in the previous days, and these days I sit and realize, oh my god, I am not even crying, then why is this happening? Is something wrong with me? I had that phase, and after that I realized, okay, no, I'm absolutely fine. And this is what I have, this is why I have no aggression. It's so soft, so very warmth. So the only fruit of being sticking onto your journey, just walking in this path, that is all it is. So here, this is my experience, and thank you.